You are Tim Dahl, and I am Lydia Lunge, and this is the Lydia and Spin episode 212.
Yes, it is. And welcome back. And I'll welcome myself back. We're back in Brooklyn after 2 weeks on the West Coast, and I had a great time, but it felt like a month. I wasn't complaining, but it didn't feel like 2 weeks. And I think my theory is that, well, not only were we flying a lot because the distances are pretty great, but just the different climates. You go from like a desert 112 degrees to a 61 degree San Francisco fog to Seattle, which is actually pretty spectacular this time of year.
It was still hot though in Seattle.
It was in the afternoon, exactly.
I like the fact that they're now calling it global boiling.
Yes, yes. Well,
exactly. And look, this result just came in from the National Snow and Ice Data Center that it was collected in the middle of July, that the ice coverage in Antarctica was more than 1.6 million square miles below the 1981 to 2010 average, which is about the size of Argentina.
Well, the problem is because the waters are because the ocean water is warming up, it's eroding it. It's not the sun the sun is eroding it. It's melting from the sun, but it's eroding from underneath because the water is temperatures are going up. So the Ross ice shelf.
Yeah, just to travel the globe a little bit, water off the coast of Florida, like above 90 degrees.
Oh no, the Keys hit a world record of 100, which is hot tub temp. That's a world record.
The hottest July on record. Now,
yes, it has.
We didn't get to the center of California. Fortunately, we did not get to Reedley, California, which is about 36 miles from Fresno. And it's kind of reeling after discovering that a nondescript warehouse turned out to be an illegal lab with deadly pathogens, coronavirus, HIV, malaria.
What?
Now, the only reason it was discovered was because there was a hose sticking out the back of the warehouse, which houses the so-called prestige biotech. And city officials would not have known that it was a shady company with links to China, which had about 1,000 dead and dying lab mice, industrial freezers, hundreds of vials of viruses, and the COVID diagnostic pregnancy test at the underground testing facility, to at least 20 stored infectious agents. And in the months-long investigation, which ended this, just a few days ago, of course, they're saying, that everything's been properly disposed of and no problems, everything. I don't believe a freaking word of that.
Bullshit.
And to just make matters a little bit worse, a little further away from home, more than 40 facilities, this is terrifying, certified as, and I don't believe this either, biosafety level 3, which means easy to decontaminate. More than 40 facilities have either been built or have gone into construction since 2020, mostly, of course, in Asia. So,
yay.
To me, what I've always said, the viruses are the real aliens. They're here, and we are their landing strip.
Yes. Well, I guess in more delightful news, Lebanon,
I can't wait.
Lebanon, Pennsylvania made history by making a 150-foot bologna sandwich.
I think I just threw up in my mouth.
I don't know why they wanted to do it. Because there's Lebanon bologna, which comes from their town, and it's
I prefer
kind of a smoky flavor, supposedly.
Yeah. You know what? By the way, what is bologna made of? Don't tell me. I don't care.
Well, it's all the
awful.
All the little trimmings, if you will. Yes,
including the last time you chewed on a pig's ear. And I'm not.
Oh no, I think believe it or not, I think it was, and I know what it was.
I believe you.
In basically what's considered the culinary. Did I say it right? God, it's had like
culinary
center of the planet. At least one of them is Lyon, France. And
there where all the food is amazing, you decided to chew on a pig's ear.
Well, I was with Sam Ossavat, who is into all the French cuisines, and he took me to like a real legendary spot, and it was all that kind of yucky stuff, like
pigs. You're an adventurous gourmet.
Well, it was good. It was fucking good. So yeah,
I've seen you chomp on pigs' necks, pigs. The only thing I haven't seen you stick in your mouth is pig's toenails.
I mean, that's, I don't know where you're getting that from. And those are called hooves. I definitely have not.
Yeah, that's true.
But since when am I just chewing on anything pig? I don't know.
Well, no, because
But
I've seen it happen.
seen what? I eat.
You chew on some pig's necks, pigs, whatever.
What? I don't know what you're talking
Fat
about.
Tam.
I mean, I've had
Austria.
ribs. I've had
Pig's
ribs.
necks, pigs,
I would admit it. I would admit it. I actually don't know what you're talking
I think you're growing a tail.
Okay. All right. Well,
Give me too long in the tail.
I think you're thinking of someone else, but I will. I'm not ashamed. I mean, maybe you have seen me do that, but I don't remember it. I remember.
Well, you know, there's a lot of things you stuck in your mouth that I wasn't there to witness, but still, I believe it's been there. Just saying. Go ahead. What about?
Okay. What do you? All right. So I guess I'll change the subject, considering.
Go ahead. Tell me.
Considering the fake news is pouring out, but okay. Let's see. What else happened? Oh yeah. Also in Pennsylvania, a couple they were watching the news, and there was a news story about a guy being mauled by a grizzly bear. He lived, but his face was all clawed and he was all seriously fucked up. And the couple, though, the woman of this older heterosexual couple was in the couch shouting to her husband, "God, that guy is unlucky. What are the chances of that happening?" At which point she hears, "Help!" And he started getting mauled by a bear in their front porch.
Wait,
while she's watching it on the news of someone else that happened to someone else. And they have this, I think they're paranoid living in the woods survivalist type. So they have cameras. So the timing was all correct. It's all been fact checked, but that happened.
That's a double dose of tragic reality here. I mean, bears are on the loose now. I always love it. There's always at least one story in the summer about bears in swimming pool in California or on a trampoline, blah, blah. But yeah, they're starting to attack like everything else that's hungry. I got to ask you this question.
Please. I love it when you ask me questions.
When was the last time you had a wet dream?
Well, that's very private. I think it must have been
now.
Yeah, it's happening as we speak.
I'm going to get to that.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of a young man's game, especially once you start getting Action Jackson. That doesn't just start happening anymore. But first I got to really think about that one. I don't know. I got to think about that.
I want to tell about a dream I had at Matt Nelson's grandmother's house when we were out there.
Oh yes.
Which, by the way, Murderous again. Our first concert that we did out in California is up on last week's podcast. Is a totally satanic symphony of extreme pleasure to me.
Sure.
So I'm in the dead granny's bed of Matt Nelson, which is disheveled because she's been gone from this realm for a little while, and they're still getting it together. And I had a dream that she called me a dakini, which is a word I've never said, but I mean, for those that don't, I mean, it could mean female energy, goddess, demon, Kali, kind of. And then also I felt something swoosh between my legs. And I knew it was a radio, but it was shaped more like an Arabian candle holder, those gold octagon shaped ones. And so when I woke up, I told Matt the dream, and he goes, "Oh, my grandmother listened to the radio 24 hours a day." So then there was a paper bag at the kitchen table, and I just reached my hand in, just like, reaching into the goodie bowl. And I actually pulled out a picture of his gorgeous grandmother from like 1940. So
yes, you did.
That was my... Well, and also you had the screen almost, decapitated.
Well, I was in the other room, and then I woke up with a fucking whole sliding screen door flying through the room. I don't know why that thing got a gust of wind. I don't even fucking know.
Let's get back to your orgasms. Just asking.
Sure, okay, let's get back to
it. Now, ladies, we have a wide variety of self-pleasuring devices. Totally, we deserve it after all. But
sure.
Finally, now you can actually think. And by the way, Vicky Galvez was staying here a while ago, and she said she was having a lot of erotic dreams. I'm like, oh, really? Then I started having some, and actually, I got away. It must be the teenage boy in me. But anyway, now we're taking it into the future. You can now think your way into an orgasm with a new sex toy powered by brainwaves. Yeah, we're getting there.
Oh, boy.
And using an EEG headset, and it's called the AutoBlow AI Plus, a masturbation device which participants imagine moving different parts of the body to activate specific functions, such as, starting, slowing down, speeding up, or hey, why not finish me off? So the mind control fellatio gadget is designed to eliminate the need to operate a handheld device, which, it could be a game changer for those, for instance, with mobility issues.
Sure.
So it's connected. The device connects men to a brain interface. And the creator, Brian Sloan, said, well, it could control as well any sex toy with an electrical output to a motor, including the average vibrator. So in the past, of course, sex toys, buttons, dials, batteries, plug them in, old technology. We're now going into the future. You can think yourself or someone else to orgasm, which, by the way, I just might have to think about that a little bit more when we get off this podcast.
So wait, it's stimulating these frequencies in your brain?
It's reading your brain waves, and you're thinking about it, and then it can just stimulate you into...
Is this called shot therapy?
Happy treatment. Happy ending. Yeah.
Yes, that's...
Well, I think that's very good news.
Oh, yeah, it's very good news.
We are at the moment.
Well, speaking of being fucked, Remy Enigma, his real name is Remy Lucidi of France. He's kind of world famous for free climbing, scaling skyscrapers around the world, the biggest ones. And he went to the Tregunter Tower in Hong Kong.
68 floors?
68. Yep. 68 floors. He'd been scoping it out for a week or so. I think 2 weeks, actually. He's done this before, but, you can't make one mistake, turns out. And so I think the wind, if you don't know what you're doing, if you get up there and they're still investigating,
wind is a factor for
sure. You get these wind tunnels at 68 flights. And you're basically clawing at glass, because all these new buildings are made of glass. And he was at one of these penthouse apartments up there, 68 floors, and kind of tapped on the window, and the maid or cleaning, they don't know that one of the cleaning ladies, she was up there and she's like doing her vacuuming, and then she's like almost had a heart attack because there's like a man kind of just like Spider-Man just kind of clung to this glass, and she didn't know what to do. She called the cops. The guy's like, hey, they think he was asking for help, and then she went in the other room, came back, and gone, and the wind took him. He's done.
I wonder how long, if the wind didn't give him the blowjob of his life, I wonder how long to actually free dive 68 stories. I wonder how many seconds that takes.
We could calculate. You hit maximum velocity. I guess it's relative to his weight. But once you hit maximum velocity, there's only one speed. When gravity's taking you down. So it really comes down to the duration of how long it takes for him to reach maximum velocity. And they say with like people who have like skydiving accidents and stuff like that, usually you go into cardiac arrest or something really extreme happens, or you black out. It's I don't think it's so fun, but definitely once those first few seconds when your adrenaline goes into fucking hyperspace, time slows down pretty slow. It gets slow. So that's an eternity, those first few seconds before you turn into a fucking flying noodle of broken bones and a sack of bones. That's what that also looks like too. It's just all wobbled out.
Tim, have you ever broken any bones?
Yes, I just broke one about a month ago. A very minor fracture, but I broke a rib and I'm fine now. But yes, I have.
I've not broken any of my own bones or anybody else's, as far as I can tell, at least so far. But hanging out with Eugene Robinson out on the West Coast,
sure,
enough to get anybody riled up. He was a joy to hang around. And,
absolutely.
The shows were fantastic. And by the way, speaking of Pennsylvania, I will be in York with Mr. Keckler on August 19th.
Ooh,
and
that'll be fun.
And hosting a show up in Woodstock with Bibi Hansen, one of my favorite people, and Abby Travis and Joseph Keckler on the 18th up in Woodstock at the Tinker Cinema, which is where we played,
which was great experience. Here's my little plug. It's kind of a last second gig this Sunday in Williamsburg, Brooklyn at Pitt. It's somewhere in, it's in Williamsburg. Yeah, it's right. I'm doing a kind of a last minute gig with the great Mark Morgan, who's been a guest, and the infamous Richard Edson, the first drummer of Sonic Youth, but also kind of a famous cult actor.
Conk of his band Conk was great.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Album In Limbo.
Yep.
Jim Jarmusch films.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Platoon, Do the Right Thing. Desperately Seeking Susan. He's been in a lot of shit.
Absolutely.
That'll be fun.
As a matter of fact, not only has he been around the block, he used to live right directly across from me on 12th Street.
So I always have this. I have this kind of a jab at actors' speech, and I was talking with Jerry Stahl, who we saw about that. I was like, well, the thing about like musicians when they act, it's often not bad. Actors when they're musicians, but
name me one.
Well, see, that's the thing with Richard Edson. He was originally a musician.
Exactly.
He was originally a musician, and he turns out he could act. But anyhow, that will be this Sunday, the 6th, August 6th in Williamsburg, PIT.
Right, well, maybe we'll squeeze him onto the podcast as well.
Besides that, the only other story I have, this guy Dan Ho in Long Island.
Not Don Ho? Any relation to Don Ho?
No, but he got caught into an insane riptide, taken 2 miles fucking out in Long Island, and he thought he was a goner. 5 hours, treading water for 5 fucking hours. He was lucky. He sees a floating fishing rod that someone had lost, grabs it. I guess he was trying to avoid being sunburned. He happened to have a shirt on, turned the fishing rod into a flag and started waving it until like some sport fishing boat came by. Like, I think that's a human. And he was like blue. I mean, he was basically on the way out because he had hypothermia, but he's now alive. So, wow.
Yeah, human ingenuity. We could use a bit more of that in these desperate times. And speaking of ingenuity,
sure,
I'm so happy that we are going to have today Donita Sparks, one of my favorite.
I'm psyched too.
And this is the Lydia and Spin episode 212. Tim Dahl, Lydia Lunch, and Donita Sparks. This is the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Tim Dahl, and rock goddess extraordinaire, composer, guitar player, vocalist, Donita Sparks of L7. My love. Donita, as usual, just like last week, we had our Ladies Who Lunch extravaganza, which I always welcome when I'm in LA. And whenever we miss one when I'm out there, I just can't stand myself.
Yes, it has become a tradition. And you are my only literary friend. So I feel it's my duty to take you to lunch. And the tradition was Musso and Frank's.
Now, let's explain exactly what that is for those that do not know.
Musso and Frank's is the oldest restaurant in Hollywood. And it's very show folk.
Right.
Well, hang on. First of all, we're going to get back to show folk, but it's where a lot of writers used to hang out.
Yes, because the Writers Guild was right across the street. And so Faulkner was in there drinking.
How fitting.
Yeah. And, Dashiell Hammett was in there drinking. All of
Food
it.
Terrible. Food terrible, drinks good.
I like their food, but
what do you like?
I like their that is the restaurant supposedly that brought what's this pasta dish? I can't remember. Alfredo.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense.
Well,
like over the top.
Last time we were in there were two lovely elder ladies with like tease dyed hair. We're sitting in front of them, and that's when, and the waiters who've been there for 50 years, maybe. I don't think anybody else was in there, and they're not really supposed to engage you, but they're like, what do you ladies, to us, what do you ladies do? And you said, and I use this phrase all the time, we're show folk, it's what we do. And I say it every time I'm on tour, when anything's going like desperate, I'm like, we're show folk, is what we do.
Now, Lydia, this time around, because you've told me this before, it kind of brings out your inner 1950s cocktail generation. You often order the liver and onions. Did you know?
That is the only thing I think is good at Musso and Frank's, but really we go there for the cocktails, or maybe the shrimp cocktail, but Well,
sadly, post-pandemic, they're not open for lunch anymore, or breakfast, which is really a tragedy. But we've been going to other places for lunch to keep the tradition going whenever.
Because, that's right. Because, if anybody is not traditional, it's us, but we do have a few traditions. Now, speaking about, it's not really a tradition, but I was just wondering, are you the longest last? I know you can go all night long. Are you the longest lasting hard rock and all female group in existence? I mean, has anybody beat your record of existence that is like all hard rock and chicks?
That's a good question. I don't know, but now that I think of it,
I think you take the cake.
But isn't there a price for reunions and do like hiatuses kind of interrupt that? It's hard to say, but you're definitely going strong now. That's for sure.
But I would say, Tim,
yeah,
we were together. God damn, 20 years. No, since 85 to 2000, and then since the reunion, I would say from 85 to 2000, we still beat most other.
There you go.
Hard rock and chick bands.
Yes.
Girls School. I don't know how long Girls School was together. Runaways weren't together that long.
Lunatics.
They broke up kind
in
of.
And out.
What are the Bengals? Do the Bengals ever officially break? I don't even follow them. Do they break? I mean, I'm not. It's not a qualitative point. It's actual factual and chronological point.
I don't know if they broke up, but I'll tell you, I saw them at House of Blues. I don't know, 10 years ago, and they were friggin' great. So they really were. Lydia, I'm telling you, they were great.
I will take your word for it.
Well, yeah. Donita, have you ever heard of the Brazilian all-female kind of extreme metal band called Placenta?
No, but I've threatened to. I always told my public that if I ever, to top all the shenanigans, including my own shenanigans on stage, that I would give birth and eat my own placenta on stage if I ever got pregnant.
Can you just eat the placenta and skip the birth?
Well, listen, another shocking moment wouldn't be that bad for my career. But
what about eating the baby and keeping the placenta? Sorry,
I think that wouldn't go over well.
No, that'd be a career ender, I think.
Let's not talk about private rituals we may, in our satanic darkest moments, contemplate doing, please. Because I'd eat about 1 billion babies if I could. But
anyhow, placenta, check them out. I think they only had a cassette, and they were the opposite of you. I think they're around for like 6 months. But it hits some cult status. It's pretty blown out and cool sounding. It's on YouTube.
Check them out.
Yeah,
check them out.
So you're taking the circus all over the place. You've got a lot of things coming up. So what's cooking on the burners right now? Because you're going all over, honey, as you should. That's what we're doing. We're show folk. We're on the road.
We're show folk. It's on the agenda. We are doing a brief East Coast, West Coast tour called In Your Space, because we're playing some smaller clubs than we normally do. So
are these going to be announced? Or are these like sneak performances? I mean,
they're announced. You
want to cause a riot?
The 2 smallest clubs are sold out, and the others are going to sell out. It's going to be a good run. But and then we're going to South America,
cool,
which can be dodgy.
Sure.
Can be dodgy. But
once you get there, it's amazing. Once you get there, it's amazing. Yes. But what are you doing? Say it again.
Which countries?
Oh, we're going to Brazil. We're going to Argentina. We're going to Chile. We're going to Colombia,
which I love.
Best. Been there a few times.
Yes.
We love playing Colombia. Venezuela, I wouldn't necessarily go to. I hopefully, but that's a little scary these days. But
we're not going there.
Yeah.
Where in Colombia?
Bogota.
Yeah.
Be careful, because by 5 o'clock, you have no more air to breathe. It's so high. The air is so thin. They say supposedly it takes 6 weeks to get used to the altitude.
Wow.
It's devastating on the lungs. Careful.
Yeah.
I mean, we almost passed out. I mean, we did 2 shows in one day, but still we almost passed out.
Wow.
What is it, like 9,000 feet? It's something. It's 8,600. So it's much higher than Denver or any of that stuff. You can feel it, but a spectacular town, and the Colombian audience is really amazing. I love
best coffee. I mean, when they say Colombian coffee here, it does not cut it. Coffee there is, it is a drug. Might be snorting the coffee, honey.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping it all works out.
When's that? No, I mean we've gone a few times to a few different places, and usually in the end it works out. But sometimes, once we even had to have the minister of culture intercept the bad promoters and move the show somewhere else, because it's just like, I can't deal with you clowns anymore and stuff, blah blah. But so when is the South American sojourn?
The South American tour is in October, mid-October into November, I think.
And then Australia in December?
Australia in December.
Do you plan on petting a koala like Tim did?
I think you've already done it, right?
I've done it.
Yes.
But one cannot hold a koala too many times in my experience.
And you know, it's soft. You know, I said it before. You'd think, you know, a wild animal maybe a little coarse. No, this thing's like, it's soft like cotton balls or something. It's kind of insane.
Well, I mean, fluffy Tim Doll, you're a hardcore animal, but you're very fluffy of hair.
Oh, nice.
I know, I have to fluff it all the time.
You're like a really fat baby in your arm.
Yes, sure.
Really, like very heavy thing. But yeah, that we're gonna do that, and then I don't know. I'm gonna try to get to the Great Barrier Reef. That's what I'm saying now.
I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that, but we didn't have enough time. But you know what, snorkeling or like scuba or just yeah.
Snorkeling. I'm not a scuba, but I'm a snorkeler.
Yeah.
So you're as insane as I. You're going to Australia in December, which is really the summer. I'm going to New Mexico, Texas, and Florida in September, when just getting back from Sacramento, 102 degrees. By the way, very nice in New York now. How's the weather out there, honey? I know you're always chilling.
The weather out here is fabulous. It hasn't been too bad. When you were in town, it was pretty bad, but it's I don't know. Right now it's like 80 degrees, something.
Oh, nice.
Nice. So what, tell me about the flexi discs. Are those out? You were, last time I was there, we were talking, and then we talked a little about these 4 different picture flexi discs. Are those out?
No, they'll be out in September for our new track, Cooler Than Mars.
All right.
And each gal has each one of our mugs is on a different flexi disc, but they're all the same track. But it's kind of a collect them all, hang them on your wall thing. God knows what they're going to sound like because they're on flexi. But we're
collector's item.
Yeah, those aren't meant to be played too many times. All right, exactly. Cool.
Didn't flexi discs sometimes come in cereal box? Am I remembering a cereal that had a flexi disc?
Yes.
Oh, when was that? Yeah.
You know what there were like Archie's songs on the back of cereal boxes.
Right.
They were printed on the cardboard, so you would cut out the actual cereal box.
Yes.
You know, we had a couple of those in the Sparks household from the back of Frosted Flakes. Yeah.
Was sugar cereal a regular in your house, or did you kind of have to beg for that as a kid?
Yes. No. Sugar cereals. I was a Captain Crunch gal.
Nice.
No, it's funny because my parents were Unitarians, and I remember going over to another Unitarian's house, and they were eating like really healthy stuff, like muesli with berries in it, and I was like, oh my God, like we're eating like it's totally baby boomer breakfast over at the Sparks house.
Did you kind of turn your nose up at the health food when you as a kid, or you're like, this is gross, or were you kind of like, oh my, or is it more like an epiphany of your own experience and stuff, where you're like, oh my God, this is like the right thing and I'm doing the wrong thing, or do you just didn't give a shit, you just kind of like rolled with it all?
No, it was definitely enough for me to bring it up like 50 years later. It had an effect on me somehow. I was either seeing how the other half lived as far as,
well, Tim's generation, his mom might have been a little bit more health conscious than our generation of moms who were like, whatever.
Yeah, but the next generation. So yeah, I would have to kind of beg to get sweet cereal, but the next generation, one younger than me, they've rejected morning cereal altogether if it's like in a box. And because that was kind of like parents like, I don't want to wake up and make breakfast, like go help yourself, that's what that was. But now, I mean, cereal is going way down in consumption.
Well, I don't blame it. It sucks, by the way. I never liked it in the first place, but I didn't like mother's milk because I didn't like cereal, and I certainly never liked milk. I was just, I guess, maybe I was eating placenta in the morning. My
God.
I have no idea.
Placenta. You were having placenta toast.
Did you have sugar placenta?
I'm more of a salty gal.
Yeah.
I'm more salty.
Yeah. So you're into savory placentas, not sugar sweet ones. So, all right.
Placenta anytime.
Was this, because, we touched on it before because we're both born in Chicago. So when did you move to LA? You were a teenager or a little kid or later?
I was 19. When
19.
I moved to LA. Yeah. So I graduated from high school and then I kind of set my goal on LA, but I worked for like a year to make enough money to move to LA. Just so I had something, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know anybody in LA.
Right.
I ended up staying with a friend of my sister's who she went to college with. So I stayed with her for a month in Hollywood, and then I found my own flea bag apartment with a Murphy bed that was like very thin Murphy bed, probably from the 1920s when they built the place. I mean, it was.
What area in Hollywood was your first flea bag apartment?
Yeah, it was a fabulous flea bag apartment on Cherokee.
So sugar cereal and how thick or how thin that Murphy bed was really had massive massive impacts on you, which is cool. So what about the see, I saw you, but we didn't get to see each other because it was still like kind of the beginning of your tour. I went to it in Irving Plaza in New York. But you guys were not really interacting because of COVID, and you didn't want to. I get it when you're renting a nightliner like that, you can't afford to get sick. But speaking of uncomfortable beds, how was that whole experience? The whole tour bus and that whole tour. Obviously you're still touring and you're doing it, so it was obviously pretty successful. You enjoyed it, but did it end up being what you wanted it to be? Yeah,
it was. It was a drag not receiving guests, but it was also kind of a relief not receiving.
Sure.
It blows out my voice. I've got to be a host. It's just like, and since we've reunited, I mean, it's been like a reunion of friends and family backstage, like nightly. It's now it's slowing down a little bit, but it was really, we were all.
Well, it's like doing another show after you did your show. It's like, it's exhausting.
So it was a very good excuse, but it was a legit excuse to not receive friends or family.
Yeah, totally.
And we still got COVID.
You still got it.
Yeah, we still got it.
Wow. Do you get the road dog blues when you're not on the road?
Do I have the road dog blues? No, but I had the band on hiatus blues.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. And how long was that? How long was it? The duration
15 years.
That's long.
Yeah.
And so it's scary to jumpstart such a thing. I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, you guys wanted to do it, and you had the whole anniversary thing, but I mean, were there some butterflies involved in that? Were you kind of like, oh boy, how's this?
Yeah. What did you spend those years? What were you occupying your time with during that hiatus?
Well, I actually had a blog called The Spin I'm In. That was kind of a culture blog on a political site called Fire Dog Lake. And I did that for like two years, I think. And then I had my solo band, Donita Sparks and the Stellar Moments.
Right.
An album, and I did a tour, which, the Tragical Misery tour, I did 2 of them in the US. Nobody cared. Nobody listened to my record. Nobody reviewed my record. I think I got 1 review on NPR or something, and then, which is great. But I just didn't have no juice, zero juice, zero, so that really was a humbling experience to put out a record, and, no one cares.
Join the club and nobody notices.
Nobody notices. Yeah. So, and then we were getting people poking around to see if we wanted to reunite and stuff. And I kind of thought, well, if we're going to do it, we should do it now before we get, we're all healthy and we're all,
Which was now meaning, which was when?
2015. Right. So we're still milking the cow.
You got plenty of show folk. The road dog is.
Yes, we are show folk, and we're still milking the L7 cow. And it's looking pretty good this year. So, and I think next year we'll probably go to Europe.
You wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't some great kind of fucking kick. Come on, it's a kick. It's fun.
It is a kick.
Fun
I mean, it is fun to rock. And I think it's like, I think Susie appreciates it the most. Susie's just like, she wants to get out there and, you know, she really, really enjoys it. And I enjoy it too, but yeah, it can be challenging sometimes.
Anybody who doesn't tour has no idea how exhausting it could be or how rewarding it could be, but it's a big fat job. And it is not just, I mean, if it was only you're teleporting yourself to the gig, no, your ass is sitting somewhere it doesn't want to be for about 8 hours every day, just trying to get to that 1
8.
hour, 1.5 hour that you live for.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a lot of sitting around. It's a lot of travel, but you know, what am I complaining about? I'm happy to be doing it because I was pretty lost during the hiatus, you know.
Right.
I mean, I was really just identity crisis, and I remember seeing this band at Coachella, and they got off stage, and I saw them walk off stage, and they were really sweaty, and I was like, God, I miss that. I miss that so much. Like the walking off the stage, just drenched in sweat. And like you gave it your all, and when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that was like, you know, the thin mattress and watching the Unitarians eat their berry bowl. It had that much of an effect. It stuck in my mind.
Kick in the pants, like got to get back and do it. Yeah.
Yeah. It gets, you know, I'm such a ham too. Like I really need attention, you know. And when I don't have it, I'm just like on the couch, like watching Oprah Winfrey. I mean, she's not on anymore, but I did have my Oprah years.
Oh boy.
Yeah. No, she was kind of like a therapist to me.
Whoa, bold.
Well, Tim has a real Tim needs to be on the road a lot. I mean, it's where he thrives and he loves it. And you know, I do what I have to do, but I'm a road dog too. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's like, the joy for me is because I am a professional juggler and I'm show folk and I'm running the circus. I can do all different kinds of things. So it never gets tedious to me. Like, oh no, not, 40 shows. No, 5 shows with this, 4 shows with that, 3 shows with that. So for me, it's quite lively.
Yes. And you've got different projects going on, and, you know, it's like, I've got one project going on, but I like the project. It's my biggest achievement in my life. What's that?
It's a good project, and you have to represent. You have to be the longest lasting, hard rocking, female goddess, kick ass. You think bricks are heavy? You hear the fucking music. You got to do it. You got to do it. That's what we do.
It's cool. It's cool. We're getting, you know, we played the show, and it was pretty much all female festival, but you know, mostly female festival in Seattle, and with a bunch of feisty female bands, you know. Not like passive ones, but really, yeah, like every band had pussy in their name practically. Just very attitude. And when we got off stage, they were all waiting for us backstage and standing ovation for us. And it was just like, my God, if I had imagined this when we first started out, when we had like, there was, you know, very few tough cookies out there, you know, and now there's like millions of tough cookies out there doing stuff. So that was a nice moment.
When you first got to LA at like 19, like what were some of the first bands that you saw that you were like, oh frick yeah?
God, not a whole lot. Honestly,
I totally believe it.
You know who I loved? I loved Red Cross.
Right.
And I loved Frightwig, came along a little later, and they were fucking great. I loved Frightwig, loved Red Cross. And then, you know, there was a lot of cowpunk going on.
Oh, that period, yeah.
That period. So it was like kind of post-punk kind of in LA. And I don't think that there was like a strong direction. There were a bunch of different scenes, and which was interesting.
Well, Geraldine Fibbers were great.
Yeah. And they were great. And what was her band before that? Carla's band before that was, I can't remember, but
Ethel Meatplow.
Yes, Ethel Meatplow. And but that was a little later. Like in '83, there was, you know, I saw the Circle Jerks. They were good, but I kind of liked the humor of Red Cross you know, a little bit
I
more.
always had my eyes on those boys, especially when they were just starting out.
When they were
They
jailbait,
were so talented.
McDonald Brothers jailbait era. Yeah,
Hey, so was
Yeah.
I. Hey, I'm just saying.
yeah.
I was
But,
myself jailbait. What do you,
you know,
call
I
it when there's
gotta-
two jailbaiters?
It's called jail.
No, you don't go to jail when you're both jailbait. You
Well, I
go
mean,
to-
well,
go to
juvie,
masturbator.
there you
go to
go.
masturbator.
You know, I
Masturbator.
didn't really move to LA to like be on the scene. I thought I was going to be a surfer, but I also loved old Hollywood. So there I was living off Hollywood Boulevard. I was working on Hollywood Boulevard at the Egyptian Theater, and I had another
Ticket
job.
taken or what? Ticket taken?
I was first popcorn popper. Then I
I
was
had a
moved
feeling.
because I was so charming. I moved up to front box office, which was really cool because that was right on the boulevard, and I could see all the goings on the
Right.
boulevard, and like totally in this fishbowl, just watching all the
Insanity.
So
the
what period
insanity.
Hollywood were you really drawn to? 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s?
Oh, all of it. You know, the Hollywood Babylon stuff, and then James Dean, and just the whole everything. The Hollywood sign. I love the Hollywood sign. Just all of it.
Did you see Babylon, the 3-hour Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt? I just saw it when I got back because I was brain dead and so hot. I'm like, oh, just give me something silly. And I have to say, those were the days, the 1920s. They were losing their freaking minds.
Where'd you see Babylon at?
In my bed.
I've never heard of it. Is it on? What is this Babylon you speak of?
Yeah.
Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, huge 3-hour production.
I'll probably never see it.
Film Babylon, which came out like last year, but it is, was for streaming now. Saw it in my bed where I see most things.
Have you seen Asteroid City yet?
No.
Wes Anderson's new movie,
Okay.
and that'll be dated by the time this comes out. Right?
Well,
Very
Hollywood
nice.
Babylon going from the 20s to the 50s is, a good time frame of showing, however true it is to form, just the devastation of trying to do anything then and just being like a pawn to every system and also getting fucked up and committing suicide. And it's a glorious, pompous spectacle. I do recommend when you just want to lose your mind.
I mean, it was required reading at one point for the
Hollywood Babylon, right? The
Yeah.
movie has not the book, but yeah, it was. Donita, I wanted to ask you, like, your back catalog. First of all, what record labels were you? Who was the first company that signed you? And do you own your stuff? Where is it?
Our first album came out on Epitaph. We were the second artist on Epitaph, and but at the time they had bad distribution, so we left them, and then we were on Sub Pop, and they were great, and then we left them, and we got signed to Slash in LA,
which is
and
kind of a backward trajectory in a sense.
well,
Most
Slash
people would sign to Slash and then go elsewhere.
Well, Slash was then at that point under the umbrella of Warner Brothers. So they had sold it. So it was kind of cool because we had this sort of boutique label in LA with a bunch of artists working there.
And by the way, great label, Slash.
Great label, great band,
Flesh Eaters.
I mean, it's amazing label. So there we were with all those same people, but we had the powerhouse of Warner Brothers behind us. So we had kind of a really cool situation. And then Slash.
What album was that? What album did you go to Slash with?
We went to Slash with Bricks Are Heavy, which was then our biggest record. So just making that jump from Sub Pop to doing Bricks Are Heavy, which was our third album, that's when we really broke kind of worldwide. So
what year was that?
That was in 92. And then it was all downhill from there. So we were hot shit for like a couple years. And then, back to the dregs.
Well, I mean, okay, when you say downhill, I mean, obviously maybe money and attention, all that stuff, but let's talk about something just outside of the money and just sustaining that business, blah blah. Do you actually prefer, if all of this was just not a factor, do you prefer playing in front of a festival of like 30,000 people or whatever, or in a packed, sweaty room where everyone's just feeding off of each other and you're getting that vibe, say a Thowie or 1,500 or 500?
Or two, like
Oh
you're
yeah,
doing
yeah.
on this coming.
I mean, obviously you like doing it, playing in both, and that's the diplomatic answer. But what's more thrilling to you? Is that a fair question?
I think I like playing all the different ones, and we're playing a couple clubs that are 250 capacity on this.
Right. Oh, that's gonna be fun.
It's going to be fun, but it's going to be a little dangerous.
Yep.
I'm sure.
Sure.
And, I mean, back in the day, we had people coming on stage constantly. It was a constant fight to not get unplugged, to not get the mic jammed in your mouth, into your teeth, people throwing shit at you, so it's kind of.
That's why I had female bodyguards for a while on stage with baseball bats. Ain't gonna have that shit happening with me. No.
Well, there you go. Well,
I don't think that's not going to happen anyways, because between your audience that who are a little older now, and then the young ones that are following you, well, the new generation's not out there as much. I don't think.
Plus, it seems to be the big pop stars that are getting things thrown in their face.
Well, that's something else, exactly.
I don't think at least at our shows, I don't think like dangerous pits are tolerated anymore.
Right.
I think the girls they're just going to jump your ass. If you get too out of control, you're going down. And that's kind of how it's been. I've seen more violent women in our audiences.
Okay.
Trying to keep the violence under control.
Yeah, they're kind of trying to keep it, but I've seen them bully people too. Like if there's like a kind of a middle-aged guy up front at the railing, and they want to be in front of them. I've seen them attack people.
Yeah, people feel like they're allowed to do that.
Get them excited. You get them a little excited.
Did you ever stop them and say, whoa, whoa, whoa? Or do you just kind of like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, some gals bullied a big time fan of ours and, beat him, and he left, he was an older guy, kind of a thick dude, and he kind of.
Why do you think that was? Because he like fit some stereotype they had in their mind of what an older hunky guy is, or they just, why do you think they felt that they had the right to do that?
Because they wanted front row.
Okay.
They wanted to get him out of the front row, and maybe they couldn't see beyond him or something, but they wanted in front.
They want to smell the magic, honey.
Yeah, they wanted to smell the magic. But
okay, I'm gonna go back to the question about Slash, Sub Pop, Warner's, Epitaph. Where now does your catalog reside?
Our catalog now resides. Well, our latest record, Scatter the Rats, that came out a few years ago, we own that. We had a license deal with Blackheart, and now that's over. And they were wonderful. Joan Jett's label, Blackheart, they were great. But now, we have ownership of that now. And the other ones are coming up for renegotiation. So we'll decide if we're going to stay at those labels with a new sort of contract, possibly, or if we take control of the masters. We're not exactly sure what we're going to do yet.
Now that you own the last album you put out, how do you deal with the distribution of that? For instance, most record labels, look, they might have good distribution, they might have terrible publicity. They might have good publicity, they might have terrible distribution. They might have both good or usually both bad. So now if it's in your hands, do you find that you sell more copies at the merch table? I know I do, because none of my shit is distributed, because at this point, no, except in Italy. Or how do you distribute when you own it?
Well, we're Scatter the Rats, we're going to have to repress, because they didn't press a whole lot of those records, so we'll have to repress those at some point. But vinyl does very well at the merch table, so people are willing to spend the bread on it, and it's just, it can be a drag to lug it around.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
you know what I mean. But and certainly to get it overseas,
vinyls are heavy.
But yeah, I mean, that stuff can be done at the merch table, and it's that's probably where it's going to reside for the most place in the future.
I think it's the best. It's the best. It's the best marketplace at my level. It's the best marketplace.
Yeah,
I sell more books than any of the book publishers that I'm on. I sell, A free hug with every purchase. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, that's the same with us. Ours live is the best marketplace for sure. You know, it's things. So many things have changed, but
Do you have any special merchandise coming up other than the flexi discs?
the flexi discs we're gonna have. God, do we have anything special? Oh no, we've just got hoodies and winter stuff coming up. I don't know what we'll have in Australia. There's usually new stuff there. I know you've got merch. What do you have? Flasks?
Well, look, I like alternative merch, but I did have flasks for the murderess again. Yeah, those were cool. And
Yeah.
also, I like one of my favorite pieces of merchandise was when I made big, sexy on the front noise panties unisex. Those sold like hotcakes.
Yeah,
Can
we
you
had
imagine seeing a man get out of bed with noise on the back of his ass, honey? It was a
Nice.
laugh riot.
yeah, we had L7 briefs, like, and girls wore them too. And they were black with white trim with the L7
Yep.
logo on the crotch. Or no, on the ass. They had the L7 logo on the ass. So yeah, those did very, very well.
Bring the panties back, honey. Bring the panties
Well,
back.
Lydia, you kind of make to order, customize some of the stuff every now and then, and you bring the price up. So if there's any DNA on it, the price goes up.
If you want it, here it is. Just bring your
Well,
cash.
you know, I'll tell you, when we were in Japan in 97, Susie was selling her used panties.
Sure.
And she bought a bunch of them at the 99-cent store.
Yep.
And she would wear them, you know, for a couple minutes, take them off, sign them, and then sell them in the alley after the
In
show.
the alley.
In the alley.
Oh, so there's a whole process. There's a whole fetishized process. I mean, going to the alley was not to avoid basically Yakuza. It was basically part of the whole process. Like, now we meet in the alley and do it, or was it to
How much
avoid?
those panties go for? I need to know.
Well, back in the day, I think they went for, I don't know, $10.
You could
you
have got
know,
more. You could have
Could
got
have had her own vending machine, damn it.
Well, you know, only in Japan, you know what I mean? Would
Yeah.
you know, in the spirit of Japan,
Right.
that's why she did that. But
Well, if there was a stray pubic hair, they must have been really freaking out because, you know, they don't like to see no hair down there.
well, they were buying them.
Wow.
All right. I believe
I mean,
it.
I wouldn't say that they were selling.
Can
like
I put a
hotcakes.
future order in? Can you ask Susie? I'll put a future order in.
A
I'll
future
trade her a
order?
pair.
You want a pair of Susie's?
I'll give her a pair of mine and she gives me a pair of hers.
Ooh, barter
Really?
system. Barter
Oh.
system.
She
Oh, wait,
will
why am I
totally-
saying about Susie? I'm talking to you, honey.
Woo.
No, you don't
I
want.
don't want to see no panties. I don't.
You don't want.
I only wear
one.
panties when I'm only wearing, you know, very little else.
Are you going to go to Japan on this? You think this run? You know, maybe 2024.
I would like to, but I don't know. Japan doesn't seem too keen on us anymore. We used to do really well in Japan, but I don't know. We're not getting any offers.
Well, you know that's
Maybe
you know
we could
from
have
the,
a double bill, Retrovirus and L7 Japan. We're storming you whether you like it or not, mofos.
Well, that could be a panty extravaganza.
They're into noise rock. Maybe we're not noise.
you call it Japanties.
Oh,
Japanties.
nice. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna put it out now.
Japanties tour. The
Japanties.
Japanties. Yeah.
That will
God.
make a killing. No, I do like the fact that they do have vending machines of panties somewhere in Japan. I just asked your
Oh
friend. who
yeah,
came
for
back and like,
sure.
what about panty vending? Didn't see any. I'm like, you didn't look hard enough.
Yeah, no, and that's that's why we did it. That's why Susie did it when we were there. It's like when in Rome,
Right.
when in
So
Japan.
these coming tours, this is how we always tour. I do little pockets here, go there, a little pocket there, a little pocket there, because back in the day, whatever day that was, I can't believe that I used to be able to do 6 weeks of touring in Europe. Now I'm lucky if I get 6 shows, but
Oh.
pockets are also better, I think.
I think so. The long haul tours are really like, ugh, it's really,
Gotta
Yeah,
find
yeah.
the rhythm.
it's and quite frankly, I don't know, the gigs in Europe, they used to be a little more state funded, right? Like there was
We
more,
gotta do festivals. That's
Well,
it.
it's also like that it was spun off of the Cold War, the whole Pentagon thing about having influence in the West, and then it was the whole thing the Soviet Union. And so even when the wall came down, the erosion of funding for American acts to basically infiltrate all culture, it started dwindling a little bit, and that's been a steady decline since the wall came down. So for sure.
Well, the food was better when it was.
Well, that's for sure.
In my opinion.
Oh, sure. Although Italy is still fucking
Oh,
insane.
we just got back from the best food and great shows in Italy, 4 and 1 in Spain, and that was fantastic.
There you go.
So is there a place you haven't played that you'd loved? Like, I want to go there, but I haven't been there.
We have not played, Russia was a thing for a while. Are people still playing?
You're reading my mind.
Not now.
I played there a few times. I played there before Perestroika even, but yeah, Russia at one point would have been nice.
Yeah, at one point. We never got the opportunity. We had peers that went there, but we didn't get to go. Let's see, geez. Indonesia. Why not?
All right. I know some people have played
there. I hear there's
but...
fans of our kind of stuff in the Philippines, but I mean, okay.
Yeah. No, we have some.
You might smell like pot you smoked 6 years ago and you might go to prison forever. I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous.
We have Indonesian fans. One of them got a tattoo on her arm. It's upside down, and I don't have the heart to tell her. It's like,
what is it of?
But it's like upside down.
Yeah.
It still reads L7. It's just upside down. But
that's not bad. Have you ever played Korea?
No.
I haven't either. I haven't either. I mean, it's a huge market for music consumption, but yeah.
Well, somebody I've played with in a few different incarnations, Francois Cambuzet, who's a great musician who's played Mongolia, China, and he goes and plays with indigenous musicians, but he's kind of like a wandering troubadour and on the road constantly in a gypsy van. Not my style of doing stuff, but Mongolia, as close as I've come, is watching it on Alone, the survival series. It's a little that.
Well, I mean, an Arctic desert. I mean, that's kind of cool. Like a desert. I mean,
have you ever played Alaska?
No.
Me either.
No.
Hawaii.
Yes, we played Honolulu.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you we played Honolulu, and on our night off, we went to see Don Ho. And
funny. Okay, wait a minute, Sister Witch again. I just mentioned Don Ho in the intro.
Just dropped his name. Yep, exactly.
I dropped the name Don Ho. Out of all names, you're talking about Don Ho. Go Ho. I mean, go ahead.
So on our night off, we go to see Don Ho. He announces us from the stage. Like it was all tables. It wasn't like theater seating. It was all tables. And he says, there's a band here that are playing the garage. And, the last band that played the garage was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they got very big. And we've got here tonight L7. And, people are like, all these blue hairs are kind of
like what?
And I, being an idiot, I was like, you guys, we should stand up. We should stand up.
Oh, no.
I thought I was like, I don't know, Joey Bishop all of a sudden.
Right. Maybe it's the Ed Sullivan Show and you didn't notice.
It was I just thought that was something you do as show folk. You stand up if you're introduced.
Take a bow.
You know what I mean? But I don't think they used to do that. I think the Rat Pack just waved or something I don't think they.
Right.
Maybe in movies though, sometimes you see them stand up, but that's what I did because
Were you the only one who stood up?
I think so. I think maybe D stood halfway up or something.
But did anything happen? You said you made the mistake. What does that mean? You're embarrassed, or did they start throwing stuff at you? What happened?
Oh, they were just a bunch of senior citizens, and there we were. They had no idea who we were. And what was ridiculous about it is that it was just funny. The expectation of we were going to be as big as the Chili Peppers. It's like that is just so outrageous. But we got to meet him backstage and take photos with Don Ho backstage. Right. And he was very kind, but he looked a hell of a lot like Jim Jones at that point.
Look,
he had the same glasses and the hair, but that was good.
By the way, speaking of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which I never do, Flea is in Babylon. And he's quite good. He's got a small role, but he's quite looks like a sleazy Hollywood bad guy. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to see this film, and he's been in a lot of stuff, which is pretty cool. That you get to do these cameos every once in a while. That's nice.
I don't know why they don't cast us, honey. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Thelma and Louise, Baby Jane, maybe a cross between the two. We can do it. You got the blonde hair, I got the black.
Yeah, we could do something. We could be some kind of partners in crime. You know, I'm in the studio today. Can you see the gear? Tim noticed the gear.
Yeah.
When we were on break.
I know why you're in there.
You know why I'm in
I had to give you a little poke about that.
Yes.
You are the last outstanding woman for this Marianne Faithfull tribute record.
Yes, I'm the last of the Mohicans, if that's still okay to say. I'm not sure. But in the studio, yes. So I am, I work best under pressure, and I work best when the term papers due the next day.
I'm the same way.
So, I am on a deadline, but
feeling confident.
I'm feeling confident. Yes. And Lydia is on the record also.
And Shirley Manson and Sylvia Black and a lot of other great gals, all for this tribute to help pay for, because, rich fucking millionaire rock stars who you might have blown about 40 years ago aren't going to pay your fucking rent for some reason. So this tribute record is to help her hospice expenses. It's a great project, and it's horrible that I just can't believe these rich cocksuckers don't step up and just help people out. I can't believe it. It's horrible.
Well, it is a charity record for Marianne, and she does need support. And, she's...
What song are you doing?
I don't want to say.
Okay.
I want it
to be mysterious.
A surprise is cool. Yeah.
I want it to be a surprise. And that gives me the out that if I totally blow it, I'll just...
you know what?
I don't know.
You're not going to blow it. You're not going to blow it.
Do it your own way. And it's gonna be fucking fantastic.
Yeah. I just don't want to say the track name. It's not a super well-known track, but
I think it's gonna be a killer record, though. Just all these amazingly diverse female vocalists covering these. And Marianne wrote some of her songs, but I'm covering a Johnny Winters song that I'd never heard before that she covered, and I'm doing it more the Johnny Winters way.
Yeah, I think people are taking different approaches like you did. And, I think that there's a lot of different ways people are going on this, which makes it interesting, in my opinion. So,
well, it might not be the last time we're on a record together, honey. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah,
First
and
time.
you were kind enough to be to grant me permission to use your poem on the High Low show. That was my show that I did during the pandemic. And so that was great what's the name of that poem it's the one where you're mentioning, this is for the ghosts.
This is for the ghosts. That's what it's called.
I fucking love that. I love that poem. And that performance is so great.
I'm your literary friend.
That's right.
And you're my rock queen.
You go. Well, you're my rock queen too. I know.
That's what we do.
We're queens of different queendoms, which makes it interesting. Yet we are friendly.
The first time we met, which wasn't really that long ago because we were on different coasts, I just got chills. It was instantaneous. We just came together like that.
Yeah. Which time are you talking about, though? Are you talking about when you sang with Lou Man Group?
No, we met before that. I remember sitting on a sidewalk cafe with you. I don't know how we came together, but it was before the Blue Man Group.
Well, I remember, I think we talked about this last time I was on your podcast, being on the Coney Island roller coaster.
Oh, yes.
Oh, excuse me. My memory bank is short circuited. You're right. I forgot.
I just walked by it yesterday. Right yesterday.
Oh my God. Yeah, what a great ride. Yes. But that's where I remember meeting you. But we met you a few times on that tour.
Right. But really hanging out.
Which
was in Hollywood.
Yes.
And sitting on some sidewalk in Hollywood, having a little cafe something, and then every time I'm out there.
But from the outside watching you two, you're kind of like, you hit the same tempo, maybe a different frequency, but you're skating the same tempo, and it's almost like a woven basket. You're kind of like anticipating each other's punchlines, and you're getting each other. It's a fun dance, social dance to witness. from a side, of course.
Well, I never knew that Lydia had the sense of humor that she does. Like I was always back in the day, I was intimidated because she's so fierce and so threatening.
You don't find that funny?
I didn't completely get the
small girl, big mouth. That's such a threat to the rest of the world. I know, but it's true. But no, I'm the funniest motherfucking person you know, probably.
Yes. We have a hoot when we get together. So yeah,
you can be fierce and funny and all these things at the same time, turns out. And it's not one or the other. And
Don Rickles, Phyllis Diller, George Carlin, etc. What's the single out September 12th? Is that the flexi disc?
That's the flexi disc. That's Cooler Than Mars, and it's about that Earth is cooler than Mars. So why are these jagoffs going into space with this ego trip? Space race.
Yeah. There's so much more that can be done with the money here. We need it here. We don't need it there. It's uninhabitable. It's so dumb.
Yeah, we're cooler than Mars, man. It's like we've got octopus, we've got cacti, we've got
Captain Crunch.
We've got Captain fucking Crunch. We've got captains. We've got
there you go.
Many things that crunch on this planet. So we're cooler
one
than
thing
Mars.
I know that crunches hard is L7 rocks the motherfucking house with a big goddamn balls out crunchy love. And I can't wait. We're posting the dates. I'm so happy you're back out doing what you do, which comes naturally and you must do. And I just love my rock queen, and thank you for being on this show.
Thank you for having me always, Lydia.
Always great seeing you.
And I'll see you when I get back. I don't know when you're coming into LA, but
we're going to know each other's schedule. I'm coming back in the middle of October, but we might be scooching.
Are you coming back to New York on this run of the States?
I might be doing the samba when you're in LA. Is that the Bossa Nova? I'll be doing the Bossa Nova on the Copacabana.
We'll get together on our schedules and that. Send us a hot photo because you're always lovely in my book. And this goes up on Friday. So I can't wait to hear what you're throwing down in the studio. It's going to be amazing.
Okay. All right. Thanks for having me. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, good luck today, too.
Okay.
Have
thanks.
fun.
Bye.
Bye-bye.